Record. Hey, this is going to be Wednesday, April 22nd, regular class. We're going to get farther into Outsiders. We're going to be going through, be careful, Elijah. That's how you get yourself booted as soon as you screen share. The screen share is only turned on, so I can switch over to the other thing in just a second. And we'll switch over to the screen here in just a moment. I'm going to finish chapter 3. If you guys need a tap out after 25 minutes or so, that's fine with me. I'm going to finish reading chapter 3 for those of you who don't want to have to read it on your own. And then tomorrow I'm going to do the same thing with chapter 4. Your checkpoint coming up is going to be to finish chapter 4 by next Tuesday. We have a quiz over chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 on Tuesday of next week. I finished reading chapter 1 on video, chapter 2 on video. I'm going to try and finish reading chapter 3 on video today, then chapter 4 tomorrow. My advanced kids have a slightly different thing. They have to do a lot of reading on their own, and they have an assignment they have to do on their own. Then your guys' is not the same way. You guys just have to do the reading and the video, and then you're going to have a quiz coming up on Friday. So if you talk to the advanced kids, they have a slightly different thing that they're doing than you guys. All right, so now we're going to do this. Hang on, over to here. Clicky. And click. No, clicky. And there. Share. Come on. There we go. All right. Hang on. And I got to move things around on my screen real quick. There you go. All right. Then, let's see, Skyward is updated through this morning as of 9:30. So if you've turned anything in as of 9:30, I have graded it, and it is up on Skyward. Anything, I had a handful of you guys who have turned stuff in, like VZ, I saw that you're on here, and I did reply to you between advanced class and this class, but things have not been graded and turned on to Skyward. This afternoon, I will go through and update and do Skyward again, but I try to do it each day to try and help you guys out. Good Zoom etiquette. Again, those of you who are in chat, for the most part, I don't care if you use chat, if you're having conversations back and forth, as I can watch the chat as it happens. Just don't attack each other. Don't be a jerk. As soon as that happens, I have to stop and then boot you and things like that. So make good choices. Any work from last week is now a late grade. You can still turn in stuff like that. That is absolutely fine with me. But school policies, I have to give you a late grade on it. And then, as I mentioned a second ago, finish Outsiders Chapter 4 by Tuesday of next week, because you have a quiz coming up Tuesday of next week. Click. Click. Wearing red today when you guys get a chance to see me again in a second, because that is the FJH Spirit Wear. I'll be posting it. Yesterday, I posted my picture to social media, but I did not send it out on Remind. It was that I wanted to have my toes, a pedicure by my daughter, but she was too busy for me. So I said I had to wear my My Little Pony socks. And yes, I have My Little Pony socks. Don't be a hater. And so I posted myself with those. Today I'll do the same thing, and then tomorrow throwback pictures and whatnot. And so they're giving out, what do you call those things? Gift cards if you participate in it, just so that you are aware. E-learning. I have once again updated my website just to help you out. So if you have missing work from before, you're welcome to do it. My Socrative is only open that day. So if you want to do today's Socrative, you have to do it today. Once you wait till tomorrow, the Socrative closes, and you have to go to the next Socrative, and you have to email me the answers. So the Socrative is only going to be open temporarily, so you have to do it that day. It's my reward to those kids who don't put it off forever. You get to use Socrative. Otherwise, you have to email it to me, and it's an easier way for me to keep track of things. Also on the website, I have your schedule of the things that we're going to be doing, and so you can go back on there to find all the old videos. Again, the questions are in the video, so you have to watch the video to find the question moving forward. For today, we're going to do chapter 3, tomorrow chapter 4, and then we'll get into more stuff next week. Quiz coming up on Tuesday. So again, just to remind you, question for today. So here is your one. Today's room, screenshot. For those of you who are not wanting to have to come back to this later, I will put it at the very end, but to try and help you out, I'll tell you to screenshot, take a picture of it, makes your life much, much easier. I will upload it to my website in the video, but save yourself time. Today's room is Q42220 for question April 22nd, 20. So Q42220. Today's question: if you went to the school in the book, would you be a soc or a greaser? Which group do you think you connect with more? And yes, I know most of you are like, I'd be in the middle, but you can't wuss out on me if you want to have all of your points. So you're going to have to actually go through and pick one or the other. Which group do you more associate yourself with, and explain to me why? Are you more greaser or are you more soc? And you'll find out more about it today when we go through, because I'll be reading more and you're going to find out more about the characters and stuff like that. So make your choice which direction you want to go. Yesterday, I enjoyed it. Most of you guys did really well on that one. So if you check your points, if you did not get 5, it's because you did not give me grammar with capitalization and periods. Most of you guys said Dally was a jerk. Some of you guys talked about what you call it, not Dally, but the Soch that did the beating with the rings. We actually get to find out more about that character coming up. I did have one of you, Pearls, who said Ponyboy was the jerk, which made me smile. And she had a really good, well thought out reason for why she says that Ponyboy was the jerk. And I had some of you guys say people like Cherry and things like that, but I enjoyed reading them, so thank you. All right. Again, book version. If you don't have the book, you're more than welcome to the ebook version and the audiobook version, which are on my website. Or technically, this is an audiobook version. You're welcome to listen to me do it this way. I'm happy either way. Hang on, I'm getting invaded by a small child in my house.
You can continue.
Oh, thank you for giving me permission to teach my own students. That's so nice of you. So now you're gonna find your spot that is in your room underneath your bed if you're Alex, or next to your bed if you're Chanel, or your random spot next to a window if you're Marin. Wherever your happy spot may be that you're hiding as we get into stuff for today. Again, to remind you, the people that we have so far as our main characters: Ponyboy is our main character. Sodapop is his brother. Derry with 2 R's is brother, and that is going to be the older one. And then the friend Johnny, who's the one that got beat up. 2-Bit, who's the funny one. Steve, who's the normal one. And then you have Dally, which has 2 L's for loser, because Dally is the loser that was mean to the girls and beats up little kids and robs people and stuff like that. Greaser, some of you guys might see yourself as greasers. Some of you guys may see yourself as socias. Pick one or the other. Empty lot comes up here today, and we're going to be talking about the empty lot here in just a moment. And so you have that to just remind you. And then the characters, Cools, the cigarettes that Dally steals, and now you guys are all excited because you're going out trying to do the same thing. You're like, as soon as this lockdown's closed, I'm stealing some cigarettes, you little hoodlums. Drive-in restaurant, we talked about that yesterday. That doesn't really play much of a role moving forward. It's just in that sort of that beginning part. Drive-in movie theater, we do continue more with that today here in a second. Gas jockey, we talk about the fact they worked at the gas station. Ooh, Blue Mustang. That's what I wanted to get to. They talk about the Blue Mustang pulled up with Johnny, because he says that's what pulled up when all the associates jumped out to beat him up. This is what the Blue Mustang is. So when they talk about a Blue Mustang convertible, this is what a Blue Mustang convertible from that time period would look like, to give you some idea. And then they also talk about breaking the bottle. That's going to play a role today. And so we're going to come back to this scene in just a moment with the whole rocker. And then back to me. Hang on, to there, to me. All right. And so now back to reading in chapter 3. I'll show you the busted bottle again in a second. So this is page 37, and they're still at the movie theater as far as we know. After the movie was over, it suddenly came to us that Cherry and Marcia didn't have a way to get home. 2-Bit gallantly offered to walk them home, which means gallant is when like you do a really polite thing for a girl to try and impress them. The west side of town was only about 20 miles away, but they wanted to call their parents and have them come and get them. 2-Bit finally talked them into letting us drive them home in his car. I think they were still half scared of us. They were getting over it, though, as we walked to 2-Bit's house to pick up the car. So again, remember, they snuck into the theater. They hopped over the back fence to get into it. So they didn't have to pay for it. So they don't have a car there. The girls ditched their drunk boyfriends, so they don't have a car either. So they're in the process of walking to go get 2-Bit's car, because apparently 2-Bit snuck in too. So none of them have a car, and they're going to walk to 2-Bit's house to pick it up and then drive them back over. It seemed funny to me that Socias, if these girls were any example, were just like us. They liked the Beatles and then thought Elvis Presley was out, and we thought the Beatles were rank and that Elvis was tough. But that seemed the only difference to me. All right, quick thing I have for you. Screen share, come back, click, share. We're going to talk about Beatles. There you go. So here it is. They talk about the Socias all think the Beatles were really cool, but the Socias don't. They think the Beatles are a bunch of wusses and stuff like that, because they basically sang pop songs. The Socias all like Elvis Presley, who is the guy who's just like, Nothing But a Hound Dog, and then the Jailhouse Rock and stuff like that. It's like, and so that's Elvis Presley. So greasers like Elvis Presley, socias like the Beatles. Sorry, I forgot I had those pictures for you. All right, and then back to here. Back to me. All right. Of course, greasy girls would have acted a lot tougher, but there was a basic sameness. I thought maybe it was money that separated us. No, Cherry said slowly when I said this. No, it's not just money. I mean, okay, part of it is, but not all of it. You greasers have a different set of values. You're more emotional. We're sophisticated, cool to the point of not feeling anything. Nothing is real with us, you know? Sometimes I'll catch myself talking to a girlfriend and realize I don't mean half of what I'm saying. I don't really think a beer blast, that means a party where you bring a whole bunch of beer. And yes, they're right, Mr. Bro is watching, so make sure you make good choices. I don't really think a beer blast on the river bottom is super cool, but I'll rave about one to a girlfriend just to be saying something. She smiled at me. I never told anyone that. I think you're the first person I've ever really gotten through to. She was coming through to me all right. Probably because I was a greaser and younger. She didn't have to keep her guard up with me. Rat race is a perfect name for it, she said. We're always going and going and going and never asking where. Did you ever hear of having more than you wanted so that you couldn't want anything else and then started looking for something else to want? It seems like we're always searching for something to satisfy us and never finding it. Maybe if we could lose our cool, we could. That was the truth. Socias were always behind a wall of aloofness, careful not to let their real selves show through. I'd seen a social club wobble once. The socias even fought coldly and practically and even impersonally. That's why we're separated, I said. It's not money, it's feeling. You don't feel anything, and we feel too violently. And she was trying to hide a smile. That's probably why we take turns getting our names in the paper. Two-Bit and Marcia weren't even listening to us. They were engaged in some wild conversation that made no sense to anyone but themselves. I have quite a rep meaning reputation, for being quiet, almost as quiet as Johnny. Two-Bit always said he wondered why Johnny and I were such good buddies. You must make such interesting conversation, he said, cocking one eyebrow. You keeping your mouth shut and Johnny not saying anything. But Johnny and I understood each other without saying anything. Nobody but Soda could really get me talking. That was until I met Sherry Valance. Ooh, quick timeout. Speaking of Johnny, I forgot I brought this in. Yesterday when it talked about him getting beat up in the empty lot by all the socias, they talked about his dad beating him with a 2x4. If you don't know what a 2x4 is, I went out to my garage and got one. It's the piece of wood that looks like this. That's a 2x4. It's what you use to like make houses and stuff like that. So when it talks about his dad beating him with a 2x4, this is what his dad uses to beat him. So again, he does not come from a good home life whatsoever. His dad's not a good person. I don't know why I could talk to her. Sorry, time back in. I don't know why I could talk to her. Maybe for the same reason she could talk to me. The first thing I knew, I was telling her about Mickey Mouse, Soda's old horse. I'd never told anyone about Soda's horse. It was kind of personal. Okay, Soda had this buckskin horse, only it wasn't his. It belonged to a guy who kept it at the stables where Soda used to work. Mickey Mouse was the horse's name. Sorry. Mickey Mouse. Sorry, I lost my thought. Mickey Mouse was Soda's horse, though. The first day Soda saw him, he said, "There's my horse." And I never doubted it. I was about 10 then. Sodapop is horse crazy. I mean it. He's always hanging around stables and rodeos, hopping on a horse every time he gets a chance. When I was 10, I thought that Mickey Mouse and Soda looked alike and were alike. Mickey Mouse was a dark gold buckskin, sassy and ornery, not much more than a colt. He'd come when Soda called him. He wouldn't come for anyone else. That horse loved Soda. He'd stand there and chew on Soda's sleeve or collar. Gosh, but Sodapop was crazy about that horse. He went down to see him every day. Mickey Mouse was a mean horse. He kicked other horses and was always getting into trouble. I've got me an ornery pony, Soda'd tell him, rubbing his neck. How come you're so mean, Mickey Mouse? Mickey Mouse would just chew on his sleeve and sometimes nip at him. Nipping is when a horse like this, little nippy bitey things with his mouth. But not very hard. He may have belonged to another guy, but he was Soda's horse. Does Soda still have him? Cherry asked. Nah, he got sold. They came and got him one day and took him off. He was a real valuable horse, pure quarter. She didn't say anything else, and I was glad. I couldn't tell her that Soda had cried all night long after they came and got Mickey Mouse. I mean, I'd bawled too, if you want to know the truth, because Soda never really wanted anything except a horse, and, well, now he'd lost his. Soda had been 12 then, going on 13. He never let on to Mom and Dad how he felt, though, because we never had enough money, and usually we had a hard time making ends meet. When you're 13 in our neighborhood, you know the score. I kept saving my money for a year, thinking that someday I could buy Mickey Mouse back for Soda. You're not so smart at 10. Not like you guys who are all super smart at 12 and 13. Jesus. You read a lot, don't you, Pony Boy? Cherry asked. I was startled. Yeah, why? She kind of shrugged. I could just tell. I bet you watch sunsets, too. She was quiet for a minute after I nodded. I used to watch them, too, before I got so busy. I pictured that, or tried to. Maybe Cherry stood still and watched the sun set while she was supposed to be taking the garbage out, stood there and watched and forgot everything else until her big brother screamed at her to hurry up. I shook my head. It seemed funny to me that the sunset she saw from her patio and the one I saw from the back steps was the same one. Maybe the two different worlds we lived in weren't so different. We saw the same sunset. Marcia suddenly gasped. Cherry, look what's coming. We all looked and saw a blue Mustang coming down the street. Hang on, let me go back up. Here to here. Hang on a second. Mustang. Blue Mustang. And share. There we go. Put the blue Mustang back up. We all looked and saw a blue Mustang coming down the street. Johnny made a small noise in his throat, and when I looked at him, he was white. Now, hopefully you're figuring out why he's getting all white and upset when he sees this blue Mustang coming up, if you remember the story from before. Marcia was shifting nervously. What are we going to do? Cherry bit a fingernail. Stand here. There isn't much else we can do. Wait, who is it? Two-Bit asked. Is that the FBI? No, Cherry said bleakly. That's Randy and Bob. And, Two-Bit added grimly, a few other of the socially elite checkered shirt set. Your boyfriends? Johnny's voice was steady, but standing as close to him as I was, I could see he was trembling. Excuse me. I wondered why. Johnny was a nervous wreck, but he never was that jumpy. Cherry started walking down the street. Maybe they won't see us. Act normal. Who's acted? Two-Bit grinned. I'm a natural normal. I wish it was the other way around, I muttered. And Two-Bit said, don't get mouthy, Pony Boy. The Mustang. Don't get mouthy, Pony Boy. The Mustang passed us slowly and went right on by. Marcia sighed in relief. Whew, that was close. Cherry turned to me. Tell me about your older brother. You don't talk about him much. I tried to think of something to say about Derry and shrugged. What's to talk about? He's big and handsome and likes to play football. No, I mean, what's he like? I feel like I know Soda from the way you talk about him. Tell me about Derry. And when I was silent, she urged me on. Is he wild and reckless like Soda? Is he dreamy like you? My face got hot as I bit my lip. Derry. Okay, what was Derry like? I started to say he was a good old guy, but I couldn't. I burst out bitterly. He's not like Sodapop at all, and he sure ain't like me. He's hard as a rock and about as human. He's got eyes exactly like frozen ice. He thinks I'm a pain in the neck. He likes Soda. Everybody likes Soda, but he can't stand me. I bet he wishes he could stick me in a home somewhere, and he'd do it too if Soda'd let him. Two-Bit and Johnny were staring at me now. What? No. Two-Bit said, dumbfounded. No, Ponyboy, that ain't right. You got it wrong. Gee, Johnny said softly. I thought you and Derry and Soda got along real well. Well, we don't, I snapped, feeling silly. I knew my ears were red by the way they were burning, and I was thankful for the darkness. I felt stupid. Compared to Johnny's home, mine was heaven. At least Derry didn't get drunk and beat me up or run me over the house, and I had Sodapop to talk things over with, and that made me mad. I mean, making a fool of myself in front of everyone? And you can shut your trap, Johnny Cade, because we all know you ain't wanted a home either, and you can't blame them. Oh, snap. That's a mean thing to say. Johnny's eyes went round, and he winced as though I belted him. Two-Bit slapped me a good one across the side of the head, and hard. You shut your mouth, kid. If you wasn't Soda's kid brother, I'd beat the tar out of you. You know better than to talk to Johnny like that. He put his hand on Johnny's shoulder. You didn't mean it, Johnny. I'm sorry, I said miserably. Johnny was my buddy. I was just mad. Now, to make sure you're picturing this properly, so you've got the three greasers and the two hot girls walking down the street when all of a sudden Ponyboy just sort of goes off on the fact of his brother, and then you have Two-Bit and Johnny who are like, hey, I thought you got along better, and then Two-Bit just hauls off and just whacks and hits Ponyboy across the head and almost knocks him down because he sassed and told Johnny that no one wants him at home, which is true, but also a little on the painful side. By the way, just that you guys are aware, even though all you're seeing is that big screen with me right there, I can see all of you guys as I'm watching. So every once in a while I get distracted. I apologize because one of you guys starts breaking into like a dance on the screen and I can see it happen. And it gets a little distracted for me at the moment. So that's apologies on my part, where out of the corner of my eye, it looks like someone's on fire because all of a sudden they're doing this. And I'm like, oh my God, that child's on fire. I look up and I feel like, no, there's like all of a sudden doing this kind of thing. And I'm like, oh, never mind. They're just dancing and it caught my attention. So my apologies for the distractions. Anyway, back to slapping children. It's the truth, Johnny said with a bleak grin. And I don't care. You shut up talking like that, Two-Bit said fiercely, messing up Johnny's hair. We couldn't get along without you. You can just shut up. It ain't fair, I cried passionately. It ain't fair that we have all the rough breaks. I didn't know exactly what I meant, but I was thinking about Johnny's father being a drunk and his mother a selfish slob, and Two-Bit's mother being a barmaid to support him and his kid's sister after their father ran out on them, and Dally, wild, cunning Dally, turning into a hoodlum because he'd die if he didn't, and Steve, his hatred for his father coming out in his soft, bitter voice and the violence of his temper. Sodapop, he's a dropout so he can get a job and keep me in school, and Derry getting old before his time, trying to run a family and hold on to two jobs and never having any fun, while the Socias had so much spare time and money that they jumped us and each other for kicks and had beer parties and river bottom blasts because they didn't know what else to do. Things were rough all over? Pfft, all right. All over the east side. It just didn't seem right to me. I know, Two-Bit said with a good-natured grin. The chips are always down when it's our turn, but that's the way things are. Like it or lump it. Cherry and Marcia didn't say anything. I guess they didn't know what to say. We'd forgotten they were there. Then the blue Mustang was coming down the street again more slowly. Well, Cherry said resignedly, they've spotted us. Hang on now to go back over here and share. All right, back to the Mustang. The Mustang came to a halt beside us, and the two boys in the front seat got out. They were Socias, all right. One had on a white shirt and a Madras ski jacket, and the other a light yellow shirt and wine-colored sweater. I looked at their clothes and realized for the first time that evening that all I had on was a pair of jeans and Soda's old navy sweatshirt with the sleeves cut short. I swallowed. Not Old Navy like the store, but Old Navy meaning the color of it, like blue. Two-Bit started to tuck in his shirt tail, but stopped himself in time. He just flipped up the collar of his black leather jacket and lit a cigarette. The Socias, they didn't even seem to see us. Cherry, Marcia, listen to us, the handsome black-haired Sos with the dark sweater began. Johnny was breathing heavily, and I noticed he was staring at the Socia's hand. He was wearing 3 heavy rings. Hopefully, you've now put together what that means. I looked quickly at Johnny, an idea dawning on me. I remembered that it was a blue Mustang that had pulled up beside the vacant lot, and that Johnny's face had been cut up by someone wearing rings. The social's voice broke into my thoughts. Just because we got a little drunk last time? Cherry looked mad. Wait, a little? You call reeling and passing out in the streets a little? Bob, I told you, I'm never going out with you while you're drinking, and I mean it. Too many things can happen while you're drunk. It's me or the booze. The other soch, a tall guy with a semi-Beatle haircut, turned to Marcia. Real quick, semi-Beatle haircut. Click. So you know what he looks like. That's the nowadays. A lot of kids wear semi-Beatle hair. Actually, most of you guys. I'm looking at the screen. A lot of the boys have haircuts like that. It's where you have like the shaggy hair that comes down over the front and covers the forehead. And you guys sort of like muss it up. I would do that, but I have way too much forehead to try and cover it. So the Beatles haircut is the whole covering of it from there. Baby, you know we don't get drunk very often. When she only gave him a cold stare, he got angry. And even if you are mad at us, there's no reason to go walking the streets with these bums. Two-Bit took a long drag on his cigarette. Johnny slouched and hooked his thumbs in his pockets, and I stiffened. We can look meaner than anything when we want to. Looking tough comes in handy. Two-Bit put his elbow on Johnny's shoulder. Who you calling bums? Listen, greasers, we got 4 more of us in the back seat. Then pity the back seat, Two-Bit said to the sky. If you're looking for a fight, Two-Bit cocked an eyebrow. It only made him look more cool. You mean if I'm looking for a good jumping, you outnumber us so you'll give it to us? Well, he snatched up an empty bottle, busted off the end, and gave it to me, and then reached in his back pocket and flipped out a switchblade. Busted bottles. He smashes a bottle like that and has Pony Boy pull out switchblade. Or sorry, he pulls out a switchblade, gives the bottle to Pony Boy. Gave it to me. The reached in his back pocket. Try it, pal. No, Cherry said. Stop it. She looked at Bob. We'll ride home with you. Just wait a minute. Why? Two-Bit demanded. We ain't scared of them. Cherry shuddered. I can't stand fights. I can't stand them. I pulled her to one side. I couldn't use this, I said, dropping the pop bottle. I could never cut anyone. I had to tell her that because I'd seen her eyes when Two-Bit flicked out his switchblade. I know, she said quietly, but we'd better go with him, Pony Boy. I mean, if I see you in the hall or school or someplace and don't say hi, well, I mean, it's nothing personal or anything, but I know, I said. We couldn't let our parents see you with us all. You were a nice boy and everything. So in other words, she can't let her parents be seen with a poor kid like Pony Boy. Hang on. Girl who likes to hide next to her bed. Chanel, what's up?
What page are we on?
Hang on one second. Top of page 46.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome. We couldn't let our parents see us with you all. You're a nice boy and everything. It's okay, I said, wishing I was dead and buried somewhere, or at least that I had on a decent shirt. We aren't in the same class. Just don't forget that some of us watch the sunset too. She looked at me quickly. I could fall in love with Dallas Winston, she said. I hope I never see him again, or I will. That does come back to play. The fact that she realizes the fact that she could fall for the bad boy. You might not know this, but some girls like boys who make poor choices. Chanel, did you raise your hand again?
No.
Okay, I'll lower your hand. I apologize. There we go. I thought I said, girls could fall in love with a bad boy, and you're like, oh, and you raised your hand. I'm like, Chanel, you don't have to tell us. It's okay. She left me standing there with my mouth dropped open and the blue Mustang. Sorry, I was watching Chanel try to kill me. And the Mustang vroomed off. We walked on home, mostly in silence. I wanted to ask Johnny if those were the same socials that had beaten him up, but I didn't mention it. Johnny never talked about it. We never said anything. Well, those were 2 good-looking girls if I ever saw any. Two-Bit yawned as we sat down on the curb at the vacant lot. He took a piece of paper out of his pocket and then tore it up. What was that? Marcia's phone number? Probably a phony one, too. I must have been out of my mind to ask for it. I think I'm a little sauced, meaning drunk. So he had been drinking. Two-Bit was smart. He knew the score. Y'all going home? He asked. Not right now, I said. I wanted to have another smoke and watch the stars. I had to be in by 12, but I thought I had plenty of time still. I don't know why I handed you that busted bottle, Two-Bit said, getting to his feet. You'd never have used it. Maybe I would have, I said. Where are you headed? I'm going to go play a little snooker, hunt up a poker game, maybe get rip-roaring drunk. I don't know. I'll see y'all there. Sorry, I'll see y'all tomorrow. Real quick, snooker, if I can find a picture of it, is this. Snooker. It's a game a lot like table pool, where you have like a ball, but instead of trying to put them into pockets, is where you have like all red balls, and it's all about trying to hit them in like around like different angles and stuff like that. I don't know. Snooker is weird. I've never played it. I just know it looks like that, so I went and found a picture of it. It's a big gambling game. Where pool you can gamble on, be a pool shark, but snooker is a game that's like almost built just for gambling. But that's what Two-Bit's talking about, going to go play. Johnny and I stretched out on our backs and looked at the stars. I was freezing. It was a cold night, and all I had on was that sweatshirt. But I could watch stars in sub-zero weather. I saw Johnny's cigarette glowing in the dark and wondered vaguely what it was like inside a burning ember. It was because we're greasers, Johnny said, and I knew he was talking about Cherry. We could have hurt her reputation. I reckon, I said. Oh, hang on one second. I apologize. Elijah, I just saw your hand pop up. What's up?
I had a question. So when they said that that guy with the heavy rings, do you know what rings they meant? Like, are they the knuckle brass rings, or like, do you know what type they have?
Did you say heavy what?
Heavy rings.
Oh,
The guy in the blue Mustang.
they're not. He wears like we're gonna find out later. It's like class rings, like the ones that Jack. I can see like my hands, like that kind of thing. But he also has like fancier ones, like jewels on him and stuff like that. So he actually wears rings, kind of stuff like that to show off. And
I didn't know if it was like knuckle brass or like the knuckle brass.
They do talk about those later, but that's not what he just wears. These rings just all the time. They're just on his hand.
Okay.
Jackson, what's up?
Yeah, I know that I get yelled at my dad's house a lot for correcting people, but I just couldn't help myself. It's brass knuckles, not knuckle brass.
It is brass knuckles. You are correct. And you can Google brass knuckles. The book we don't get a chance to read, they show up there. It's a guy gets beat up with brass knuckles, and it's really bad. But that doesn't happen in this book. But oh well. And girl hiding underneath of a bed. No, you're not underneath the bed anymore. Girl who used to be hiding underneath of a bed.
Do you want me under the bed?
No, you're fine. I was just harassing you.
Okay. Yeah, but this is a little bit off topic, but for Earth Day today, apparently there's going to be a meteor shower at 1 a.m. this morning.
Ooh, cool. I will do my best to go watch that. Thank you for letting me know.
And I'm going under my bed.
There's the bed right there. For not letting you get to sleep in time. All right, let's see. Back to here. Talking about Cherry. Hang on. Yeah. I reckon. Sorry. On page 47, right-hand side, halfway down. I reckon, I said, wondering if I ought to tell Johnny what she had said about Dallas. Man, that was a tough car. Mustangs are tough. Big-time socials, all right, I said, a nervous bitterness growing inside of me. It wasn't fair for the socials to have everything. We were as good as they were. It wasn't our fault that we were greasers. I couldn't just take it or leave it like Two-Bit, or ignore it and love life anyway like Sodapop, or harden myself beyond caring like Dally, or actually enjoy it like Tim Shepard. I felt the tension growing inside of me, and I knew something had to happen or I would explode. Mohammed, I'm getting ready to ban you because you're starting to go back to your spamming thing. So just giving you a heads up. If you keep typing stuff in there, you are going to disappear. I can't take much more of this, Johnny spoke my own feelings. I'll kill myself or something. Oh, don't, I said, sitting up in alarm. You can't kill yourself, Johnny. No, I won't, but I got to do something. It seems like there's got to be some place without greasers or socias, with just plain people, plain ordinary people. Now in the big towns, I said, lying back down. In the country? In the country. Man, I love the country. I wanted to be out of towns and away from excitement. I only wanted to lie on my back under a tree and read a book or draw a picture, not worry about being jumped or carrying a blade or ending up married to some scatterbrained broad with no sense. The country would be like that, I thought dreamily. I would have a yeller cur dog like I used to. Sodapop could get Mickey Mouse back and ride in all the rodeos he wanted to. Derry would lose that cold, hard look and be like he used to be 8 months ago before Mom and Dad were killed. Since I was dreaming, I went ahead and brought Mom and Dad back to life. Mom could bake some more chocolate cakes, and Dad could drive the pickup out early to feed the cattle. He would slap Derry on the back and tell him he was getting to be a man, a regular chip off the block, and they would be as close as they used to be. Maybe Johnny could come and live with us, and the gang could come out on weekends, and maybe Dallas would see that there was some good in the world after all, and Mom would talk to him and make him grin in spite of himself. "You've got quite a mom," Dally used to say. "She knows the score." She could talk to Dallas and kept him from getting into a lot of trouble. My mother was golden, beautiful. Pony boy, Johnny was shaking me. "Hey, Pony, wake up." I sat up, shivering. The stars had moved. Oh, glory, what time is it? I don't know. I think I went to sleep too, listening to you rattle on and on. You better get home. I think I'll stay all night out here. Johnny's parents didn't care if he came home or not. Okay, I yawned. I see you, Jackson. I'm just making you wait till I finish. We only have like 2 pages. Okay, I yawned. Gosh, but it was cold. If you get cold or something, you come on over to my house? Okay. I ran home, trembling at the thought of facing Derry. The porch light was on. Maybe they were asleep and I could sneak in, I thought. I peeked in the window. Sodapop was stretched out on the sofa, sound asleep, but Derry was in the armchair under the lamp, reading the newspaper. I gulped, opened the door softly. Derry looked up from his paper. He was on his feet in a second. I stood there, chewing on my fingernail. "Where the heck have you been? Do you know what time it is?" He was madder than I'd seen him in a long time. I shook my head wordlessly. "Well, it's 2 a.m, kiddo. Another hour and I would have had the police out after you. Where were you, Pony boy?" His voice was rising. "Where in the almighty universe were you?" It sounded dumb, even to me, when I stammered, I went to sleep in the lot." "You what?" He was shouting, and Sodapop sat up and rubbed his eyes. "Hey, Pony boy," he said sleepily. "Where you been?" "I didn't mean to," I pleaded with Derry. "I was talking to Johnny, and we both just dropped off." "I reckon it never occurred to you that your brothers might be worrying their heads off and afraid to call the police because something like that could get you two throwing boys home so quick it'd make your head spin. And you were asleep in the lot? Pony boy, what on earth is the matter with you? Can't you use your head? You haven't even got a coat on." I felt hot tears of anger and frustration rising. "I said I didn't mean to." "I didn't mean to," Derry shouted, and I almost shook. "I didn't think. I forgot. That's all I ever hear out of you. Can't you think of anything?" Hey, Derry," Sodapop began. But Derry turned on him. "You keep your trap shut. I'm sick and tired of hearing you stick up for him." He should never yell at Soda. Nobody should ever holler at my brother. I exploded. "You don't yell at him," I shouted. Derry wheeled around and slapped me so hard that it knocked me against the door. Suddenly, it was deathly quiet. We had all frozen. Nobody in my family had ever hit me. Nobody. Soda was wide-eyed. Derry looked at the palm of his hand where it had turned red and then looked back at me. His eyes were huge. "Pony boy." I turned and ran out the door and down the street as fast as I could. Derry screamed, "Pony, I didn't mean to." But I was at the lot by then and pretended I couldn't hear. I was running away. It was plain to me that Derry didn't want me around, and I wouldn't stay if he did. I wasn't ever going to let him hit me again. "Johnny," I called, and started when he rolled over and jumped up almost under my feet. "Come on, Johnny, we're running away." Johnny asked no questions. We ran for several blocks until we were out of breath. Then we walked. I was crying by then. I finally just sat down on the curb and cried, burying my face in my arms. Johnny sat down beside me, one hand on my shoulder. Easy, pony boy, he said softly. We'll be okay. I finally calmed down and wiped my eyes on my bare arm. My breath was coming in quivering sobs. Yeah. You got a cigarette? He handed me one and struck a match. Johnny, I'm scared. Well, don't be. You're scaring me. What happened? I ain't never seen you bawl like that. I don't very often. It was Derry. He hit me. I don't know what happened, but I couldn't take him hollering at me and hitting me too. I don't know. Sometimes we get along okay, and then all of a sudden he just blows up on me or else is nagging at me all the time. He didn't used to be like that. We used to get along okay before Mom and Dad died. Now he just can't stand me. I think I like it better when the old man's hitting me, Johnny sighed. At least then I know he knows who I am. I walk in that house and nobody says anything. I walk out and nobody says anything. I stay away all night and nobody notices. At least you got soda. I ain't got nobody. Shoot, I said, startled out of my misery. You got the whole gang. Dally didn't slug you tonight because you're the pet. I mean, golly, Johnny, you got the whole gang. It ain't the same as having your own folks care about you, Johnny said simply. I don't know, it just ain't the same. I was beginning to relax and wonder if running away was such a great idea. I was sleepy and freezing to death, and I wanted to be home in bed, safe and warm under the covers with Soda's arm across me. And I decided I'd go home and just not speak to Derry. It was my house as much as Derry's, and if he wanted to pretend I wasn't alive, that was just fine with me. He couldn't stop me from living in my own house. Let's walk to the park and back. Then maybe I'll be cooled off enough to go home. Okay, Johnny said easily. Okay. Things gotta get better, I figured. They couldn't get worse. Boy, was I wrong. Again, that's called foreshadowing, because this is going to be the part where this next chapter 4 is where things are going to take a huge turn. And we're going to get a chance to read that tomorrow, and that's where everything's going to become incredibly different. With the scene where Dally slaps him, realize, to help you walk through that scene with what happened on that one, before you get too angry at Derry, Derry's only 20 years old, 20. He just stopped being a teenager. And so for those of you who have older siblings, that's a sophomore in college. So he's not very old, and he's taking care of 2 other teenagers, Sodapop, who's 16, and then you have Pony Boy, who's 14. You might not know this, but teenagers tend to be a little sassy and cause issues. And here you have I'm a 43-year-old adult, and I have 2 sassy teenagers in my house, and I deal with sassy teenagers at school, and it's exhausting, let alone be a 20-year-old and deal with a sassy teenager. And to make it even worse, he's in charge of the fact that if Pony Boy or Sodapop get in trouble for anything, they're going to get sent to a boys' home, like an orphanage. And so he's constantly worried about them getting sent away. So here you have the fact that we know Pony Boy just got jumped the other day, and the fact that he's worried about this happening again to him. And then he lets him go out. He's like, all right, I'll trust you. You can go. And he takes off to leave and then doesn't come back till 2 o'clock in the morning. What Derry's realizing right now is he has 2 choices to make. If he calls the police on his younger brother because he's afraid that he got caught by the Socias, which, by the way, almost happened, Blue Mustang, and if the Socias beat him up somewhere and he calls the police to save his younger brother, he then has his younger brother get sent to an orphanage. If he doesn't call the police and his younger brother got beat up by the Socias and is lying somewhere almost dead like Johnny, he's going to hate himself for the rest of his life. So he has to make this decision. Do you call the police to save your brother, or not call the police and risk him being killed by the Socias? Do you send him to an orphanage, or do you let him get killed? And so Derry's sitting there trying to decide, which one am I going to do? Do I call the police? Is he getting killed? I don't. And then all of a sudden, your sassy 14-year-old teenager walks in and just goes like, doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo, and then walks in the front door. And he's like, I found a sleep phone just outside staring at the star. And Derry just snaps. He's a human. And then all of a sudden, he's like, you can't yell at me because I'm a teenager. And then Derry's like, ah, and slaps him. And Derry feels absolutely awful about it because he's not normally a slappy person. And that's all going to come back later. But when we get to chapter 4 tomorrow, things are going to change. Your homework is to not read chapter 4 and then just figure out, are you more of a soc or are you more of a greaser? And then tell me why. Because we saw that whole talk back and forth between Ponyboy and Cherry. You found out a lot more about how they feel. So I want to sort of see your thinking about where you sort of connect more to. Kiana, what's up? I see you raised your hand.
Why can't, like, couldn't Dairy just adopt Sodapop and Ponyboy? And so they were orphanage?
Technically he can, but the thing that they're worried about here is the fact that he's only 20. Technically you have to be like 25 to adopt or somewhere along those lines. The fact that he's not old enough, it's sort of like he has adoption probation because the fact they don't have the parents, he's only 20, he doesn't make a whole lot of money. Typically whenever you adopt, the adoption agency wants to make sure that you can provide for the kids that you're adopting and not just like throwing them into a closet. So they're saying, all right, we're going to let you adopt them, but you're on probation. And if they get in trouble, then we take them away. So technically they're kind of adopted as long as they don't make any poor choices. So solid question. Clemens, what's up?
Okay, so the beginning of the Zoom call was like forever ago.
Yes, it was.
And I don't remember if there was like a Socratic question.
There is. I'm going to put it back on the screen in just a moment.
Okay.
Yep. That's my next thing I'm going to get to. After I get done with yours and Elijah's question, I'm going to put it back up there. Actually, no, that's a lie. Hang on a second. I'm going to go ahead and put it up there now. That way I can answer the questions. Let me find it. There it is. And let's go to screen share to there. There you go. For those of you who did not see it before, there is the screen share to try and help you out. So now you get a chance. This is the question for today. Room name is Q42220. And then it is, which would you connect with more, soc or greaser, and explain to me why. Happy to help. All right. And then so there. Elijah, what's up?
Oh, I just want to say why.
Hey.
I'm gonna say bye, not hi.
No. Yeah.
I'm gonna do that every day.
I fully accept that. It's good to hear from you guys.
All right.
And I'll say
Thank
bye.
you.
Go do your homework. Pearls, what would you like to yell at me for today?
You know how I was asking you for book recommendations?
Yes.
Okay, well now I need one for my mom, but she doesn't like killing books. She likes books that are based on true stories, like those pretty happy books.
All right, so hang on, I'm gonna write myself a note. I'm gonna look at it. All right, so she wants, this is for Perla. So for your mom, book rec, and she wants more pretty, they can't see, by the way, it's just my screen. Pretty happy book.
Yeah.
I'll send you a remind, and I will think of a couple books, and I'll send them to you.
Okay, thank you.
Not a problem. Happy to help out.
Bye.
Toots. This is all of my regular classes.
Oh,
They can hear you. They just can't see you right now.
that's cool. I just wanted to know if any cool kids.
They're all cool kids.
I said any cool kids I know.
Oh, they don't know any of them. They're all just random children.
Yeah. I
Except for
totally
Giles, who has pictures of me, my screen up behind him. Girl who hides under bed.
Yes. Okay. So I was wondering if maybe you could send me some like ideas for like reading and stuff, like book ideas.
Sure. Let me add that to mine also. Hang on to there. You guys are making me write notes. Making me do
And
this.
I also wanted to say bye because my bed's getting uncomfortable.
Any particular recommendations you're looking for as far as books? Oh, by the way, those of you who want to leave, you can skedaddle and take off. That's fine with me. I'm just answering questions now. You're welcome to go work on other homework.
Okay, yeah, I really like realistic fiction books and I love mysteries.
So realistic fiction. Yep, I have several I can think of, and mysteries. Done.
Okay.
I'll add that to my list.
All right.
Hang on.
Alex,
Alex.
Yeah?
can you send me some of the band sheet music? I left it all in my dad's classroom and I really want to play our sheet music.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Thank you.
I'm just gonna need your phone number though, because I don't have it.
You don't have email?
I have email and everything.
You could just do the BroviCast.
Why don't you send her an email first asking?
Okay.
Okay. And try to sound less pitiful when you ask her. Thank you,
No.
Alex,
Alright.
for being nice to my daughter.
I'll do it even
No
more.
problem.
All
What
right.
a friend for.
Uh-huh.
No problem, Jenna.
All right, so hang on.
Happy.
We're down to
All right.
there. And hang on, let me unstop sharing this one. Stop. There we go. And then back to here. And Marin, what's up? So was
Okay,
your dad watching my video for a little bit also?
What?
Was your dad watching my video for a little bit also? I saw his head like on your screen while I was reading.
I was doing a quiz and I needed to make sure I was doing it right.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay,
Right.
so I didn't join Miss Randall's Zoom yesterday and I don't know how to join it today.
I don't believe she had one yesterday. She only does Zooms on Wednesday, Thursday, from what I was been told by him yesterday. And then you can do either Wednesday or Thursday. It's the same thing both days.
Okay.
Then,
how do I join it today?
Anyone who is still on here, if you can copy and paste it to the chat, the code for Randall's Zoom, that would be much appreciated. Hopefully someone will post it in the chat here in just a moment.
Like, isn't she supposed to like send an email or something like that?
I think so. I mean, 'cause I don't get her emails, so I don't know for sure.
I can't find a single email.
From her? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like that. Get it closer. So way to say hi to Ashlyn. All right. So I do not know. Hang on a second. Juanita, are you trying to answer the question about Mrs. Randall?
Yeah, it also started like it's gonna start in a minute. It starts at
She has one at 12 and another one at 1. I know she has those two. That's all I know.
Yeah, so how do you join it though?
You have to go on to Mr. Brovak's Remind and he sent a remind that has the code and the password for it.
Is that a code for Randall's?
Yeah, you sent a code for Randall's.
No. It must be way back there then. So not currently. Yeah.
What?
So or you could email Mrs. Randall.
Why is he using
No, that's too much. Wait, is that it?
his
I think Ashley, yeah, thank you, Ashlyn. Ashlyn just sent it out. So I'm assuming you can probably click on that one, the one that says zoom.us, and that should, or copy and paste it, and that should be the one for her.
Okay.
All right.
Why isn't it? Oh my gosh.
I think that's Katie Sickles.
I hate my stupid phone.
All right. I agree. Let's go with, hang on, lower hand. Sam.
I just want to say hi to Jenna.
Oh, hi, Jenna. That's Sam.
Hi, Jenna.
He lives down the street.
I know.
Oh, yeah, because he's hung out with my
Yeah.
I don't have to tell you.
hanged out with him.
Never mind. She knows who you are, Sam. That's so embarrassing.
I know.
Okay. I was trying to be nice. I'll stop trying to be nice. See you, Sam.
See ya.
Sickles. Hello, Kaylee.
So it is Kaylee Sickles. There you go. That's which Kaylee it is. All right. And Branson, what's up?
Hi, Mr. Broviak.
Hey, Branson. How you doing?
Good. I has a question for you.
Yes.
Have you ever done a 500-piece puzzle before? And how hard is it if you have?
I do not do puzzles. My wife does puzzles all the time, and she does the 500 and 1,000 piece puzzles, and she can do like a 1,000 piece puzzle in a day. I can do a 100 piece kindergarten puzzle in a week. So it just sort of depends on how. And apparently, it also affects my speech. So yeah, I'm not a good puzzler. My wife is more that area.
Okay. I was curious.
I wish you luck.
Thank you.
Yep.
I like your gaming mic.
And we have Ashlyn.
What?
What's up, Ashlyn? You had your hand?
Hi.
Oh, is it not up? I thought your hand was up.
No.
Picture
Right.
of your dogs were cute. Oh.
Thank you.
How very nice of you. And Deegan, we were impressed by the fact that you had a green screen of your own face in the background, by the way. Nicely done. It entertained both of us.
I like how your hair went behind the green screen.
And apparently your dad knows my brother because they've had conversations. Your dad, it works, for some medical thing. And
Works with Nick or talks to Nick?
Yeah. Because my brother had surgery on his leg and has like some kind of apparatus, and your dad's talked to him because he keeps talking about this Deegan Baker kid. So apparently we have an odd connection. But anyway, Deegan, aside from that weird thing, what's going on?
For Randall's thing, there's like a period 1 through 4 and 5 through 7.
Yeah,
like there's two.
Like noon is 1 through 4, and then the 1 o'clock is 5 through 7. At the same time, I don't think she cares which one you go to. I think she said she's fine if you connect to either one. So that was just to try and make it easier for people. We're going to go back to muting there, and we're going to pick on Kaylee for a second. So Kaylee, is the new room set up? Since yesterday we saw all the furniture moving, I figured it was worth asking. So you seem to be lazing on some kind of comfortable bed thing right now.
I want it. Well, this is all set up, but I don't have the right mattress.
Hang on. Don't spin it so fast because you're trying to make me throw up there. It felt like I was falling off a boat.
Just like
Ooh, that looks cool. I like your setup.
zoom.
Except for the trying to make me throw up part. Yeah. And oh, so yes, I see the mattress issue. So your mattress is not quite the right size. So you just have to be careful which side of the bed you wake up on, because then you're going to fall off the boat also.
I would sleep.
Yeah, my mattress is coming tomorrow.
Sleep on the wood.
Well, right now with social distancing, we probably don't have to have a worry about some other random person sleeping because we're not having a lot of sleepovers.
Yeah, I mean, like if it's that not during quarantine.
Anyway, we're going to stop arguing in front of Kaylee. Thank you, Kaylee, for showing me your room and the adorable backboard. All right. And then, all right, I think we're all done with our questions from there. Tomorrow we're going to finish chapter 4. That's all the stuff I have for you. Thank you guys for hanging out and learning and stuff like that.
BroviCast, bye.
And I have to go back to the chat. Let's see what kind of random chat was on here. What's this chat? No. Can I see this chat? No. You can chat with. Oh, all right. So I got to make sure we didn't have. Hang on. We're gonna unmute all those people. There you go. So if they're talking, we can hear them for a second.
What?
Yeah.
Boo.
Oh, Elaine, you guys are getting feedback. All right. Let's see. I have to see the chat. If I have to yell at people tomorrow. Oh my goodness, Branson, you're getting feedback. There we go. Most people were good. Wait.